Jesse James, the infamous outlaw behind America's most shocking tales. Jesse James, often romanticized as a latter-day Robin Hood, actually led a life filled with violence, thievery, and controversy. His involvement with the James Younger gang and their array of crimes, including bank and train robberies, have painted a legendary figure whose reality was much darker than often depicted. Here are 10 of the most scandalous and shocking facts about Jesse James. Fact number 1. The catalyst of war. At the age of 16, Jesse James joined the guerrilla forces of Bloody Bill Anderson, a subgroup of Quantrill's raiders, known for their brutal tactics during the Civil War. These guerrillas engaged in acts of extreme violence, including the scalping and mutilation of Union soldiers. A significant and defining moment for Jesse was his involvement in the Centralia massacre on September 27, 1864. During this event, approximately 24 unarmed Union soldiers were pulled off a train in Centralia, Missouri, and executed. Some reports claim that Jesse played a direct role in the mutilations and killings. This massacre is a stark demonstration of the cruelty Jesse was capable of, marking a pivotal transition into his career in outlawry and setting a precedent for his post-war activities. Number 2. Daylight Bank Robbery Pioneer. Jesse James is recognized for orchestrating one of the first peacetime bank robberies in broad daylight in the United States. On February 13, 1866, just a year after the Civil War ended, Jesse and his gang targeted the Clay County Savings Association in Liberty, Missouri. The gang, disguised in Union military uniforms, entered the bank and managed to steal approximately $60,000. During their escape on horseback, they shot and killed an innocent bystander, George Wymore, who was simply observing the chaos. This robbery marked the beginning of a series of bold, public crimes that characterized the James Younger gang during the Reconstruction era. Number 3. Near-fatal shot at close range. In January 1874, Jesse James led a daring robbery of the Iron Mountain Railroad at Gads Hill, Missouri. During this heist, Jesse boldly removed his mask and personally stopped the moving train, a psychological tactic intended to intimidate the passengers. When the engineer hesitated to halt the train, Jesse shot him at close range, seriously wounding him. This act of violence was emblematic of Jesse's ruthless methods during robberies, often enhancing the public's fear and contributing to his notorious reputation. This incident at Gads Hill not only demonstrated Jesse's willingness to use lethal force but also his flair for dramatic, high-stakes theft. Number 4. The Northfield raid failure. One of the most infamous episodes in Jesse James's career was the failed bank robbery in Northfield, Minnesota, on September 7, 1876. The James Younger gang targeted the First National Bank of Northfield, but their plan quickly unraveled due to the unexpected resistance from the townspeople. As the gang attempted to rob the bank, local citizens armed themselves and fought back. During the escape, 2 gang members were killed, and several others were wounded and captured. Jesse and his brother Frank James barely escaped, but the botched robbery resulted in the death or capture of most of their partners. This event led to a significant decline in the gang's activities and marked the beginning of the end for Jesse James's outlaw career. The Northfield raid not only displayed the community's resilience but also significantly damaged the reputation and operational capacity of the James Younger gang. Number 5. The betrayal of a gang member. As Jesse James's notoriety grew, so did his paranoia, particularly towards his gang members. In the spring of 1881, this distrust culminated in the cold-blooded murder of Ed Miller, a newer recruit whom Jesse suspected of disloyalty. Ed Miller had been part of several robberies with Jesse but was rumored to have considered turning in Jesse to the authorities for the bounty on his head, which had reached $5,000 at the time. Jesse invited Miller to ride out with him under the guise of planning a new robbery, only to shoot him in the back and leave his body to be found near the roadside in Kearney, Missouri. This brutal act served as a grim warning to others in the gang about the consequences of betrayal and highlighted Jesse's ruthless enforcement of loyalty within his ranks. Number 6. Assassination of Jesse James. Jesse James's life of crime came to a dramatic end on April 3, 1882, when he was assassinated by Robert Ford, a member of his own gang. Jesse had recruited the Ford brothers, Robert and Charles, with the understanding that they would help him carry out further robberies. Unbeknownst to Jesse, Governor Thomas T. Crittenden had quietly arranged a deal with the Fords, offering them a pardon and the $10,000 bounty in exchange for killing Jesse. On that fateful day in St. Joseph, Missouri, as Jesse stood on a chair to straighten a picture on the wall, Robert Ford seized the opportunity and shot him in the back of the head at point-blank range. This assassination not only claimed Jesse's life but also controversially awarded Robert Ford the dubious title of the man who killed Jesse James, a tag that would haunt him for the remainder of his life. Number 7. Obsession with his own myth. Jesse James was profoundly aware of his image in the media and took active steps to control and cultivate his public persona. He was known to leave behind press releases and notes at the sites of his robberies, which romanticized his outlaw actions and justified them as acts of retribution against corrupt institutions. Jesse even corresponded directly with newspaper editors, such as John Newman Edwards of the Kansas City Times, who was instrumental in publicizing Jesse as a sort of folk hero. These efforts at manipulating public perception were remarkably successful, as evidenced by the numerous sensationalized newspaper articles and dime novels that portrayed him as the Robin Hood of the West. This manipulation not only endeared him to the public, who were enthralled by his daring escapades, but also muddled the factual account of his crimes, contributing to his legendary status in American folklore. Number 8. Escape artist. Following the disastrous attempt to rob the First National Bank in Northfield, Minnesota, on September 7, 1876, Jesse James became a master of evasion. Despite a massive manhunt triggered by his recognizable face and the widespread publicity of the raid, Jesse cleverly avoided capture using various aliases such as Thomas Howard. His movements were unpredictable and frequent, spanning states from Kentucky to Tennessee, and even as far as Texas. Jesse's ability to slip through law enforcement nets became so renowned that it fueled legends and rumors, including false sightings and exaggerated tales of his exploits that persisted even decades after his death. This elusive nature helped perpetuate the myth of Jesse James, painting him as a ghostly figure forever riding just out of reach of the law. Number 9. Violence against his own family. Jesse James's violent tendencies were not limited to his criminal activities, they also extended into his personal life. In a particularly disturbing incident, Jesse brutally whipped his own mother, Zerelda Samuel, during a family dispute in 1875. This assault occurred in their family home in Kearney, Missouri, where tensions escalated over unknown familial pressures, possibly related to the stresses of living a life on the run. This act of domestic violence was shocking even to his contemporaries, who were accustomed to his public acts of criminal violence. It starkly contradicted his public image as a benevolent bandit and exposed a much darker aspect of his character, showcasing his capacity for cruelty not just towards foes but towards his own family. Number 10. Theft from disaster relief funds. One of Jesse James's most reprehensible acts occurred in July 1873, when he and his gang intercepted a Rock Island Line train in Adair, Iowa. This train was notably carrying a large sum of money intended for the relief of farmers in the Midwest who were suffering from a devastating grasshopper plague. Jesse and his gang derailed the train using obstacles placed on the tracks, causing both human and material casualties. They proceeded to rob approximately $3,000 from the disaster relief funds, a sum that would have significantly aided the stricken communities. This heist not only highlighted Jesse James's indifference to human suffering but also marked a profound moral low in his criminal career, demonstrating his willingness to exploit a humanitarian crisis for personal gain. This act of stealing from the needy confirmed the depths of his greed and ruthlessness, further tarnishing the mythic image of a Robin Hood figure and painting a truer picture of his predatory nature.